22 minutes away from 5 o'clock on ESPN 1530. The Bengals and Ravens game will kick off at 1 o'clock on Sunday, live on ESPN 1530. Pre-game coverage starts at 9:05. On Wednesdays, we spend all season talking injuries, mainly all across the NFL, with one of the experts at OrthoCincy's. OrthoCincy's, they have specialists and locations all throughout the tri-state. They also offer walk-in orthopedic urgent care with evening and Saturday hours. You can check out OrthoCincy.com to learn more. That's OrthoCincy to learn more. With us this week, and I appreciate the time. Obviously, we're talking about an unusual set of circumstances, an unfortunate set of circumstances, and a very different set of circumstances than we're used to. So I do appreciate the time of Dr. Matt DesJardins, who is with us from OrthoCincy. Let's talk about blunt force to the chest. What sort of impact could conceivably cause a heart to stop beating?
Yeah, so the most likely or common impact in sports would be something that causes commotio cordis is a name for it. And you can see it more commonly in ball sports such as baseball, lacrosse, or even hockey. And what happens, Mo, in that case is that if you get a ball or a puck directly to the right area of the chest, the correct area of the chest at the correct timing, and if the force is strong enough, it can actually cause the heart to go out of its normal rhythm.
What sort of equipment, football, other sports, what sort of equipment could protect younger athletes from suffering a significant chest injury?
Yeah, so this has been looked at, and some of this equipment is common in use. So common things would be chest protectors such as baseball catchers. In football, for example, the pads, the shoulder pads that the players use do come down over the chest. And so when they're in proper position, they do offer some protection. There's been some additional padded shirts that some athletes will use that are in high-risk positions. Again, baseball catching would probably be one of the highest. Lacrosse goalies, another one of the highest. So some players will use a padded shirt and then the harder protection over top of that. And so those things are already available out there. Unfortunately, some of the studies that have been done on it haven't been shown for sure that it's going to protect from catastrophic injury, such as what happened the other night. And even the cases of commotio cordis that have been recorded, about 30% of those in sports, the athletes had chest protection on. So it's not foolproof.
It goes without saying that on Monday night, time was very clearly of the essence. Walk me through how critical those early moments are when you're dealing with something of that magnitude.
Boy, that's a great question. It's essential and so critical. In any cardiac emergency like that, timing is everything. And so you saw very quick action by the medical personnel on the field, and seconds and minutes count. And so you want to have a quick assessment by medical personnel. You want to have very quick access to an AED. And so what the AED does, once you put the pads on, it kind of walks you through what it recommends, meaning do you continue CPR? Does it recommend a shock? It's very user-friendly, even for lay people. And so the earlier you institute that kind of emergency action, the more likely you are to have a successful outcome. And so that emergency action plan, the NFL does this at every game. They have we call it a medical timeout, where all the medical personnel meet. They figure out where the EMS is. They figure out who the players are that are going to be involved in any emergency care, and they walk through it before every game.
I don't recall who put this on social media, but I read a tweet that said something that I thought was profound, and it read that one of the best places to suffer something as potentially devastating as what we saw on Monday night is on the field and at an NFL game because of the medical personnel available, of the equipment that's available. That's not necessarily the case at the high school level, at the youth sports level. And you mentioned AEDs. I know there's a huge movement to make AEDs available at every high school sporting event. And obviously, that would be ideal. It's not reality. What sort of staffing and equipment should people insist are in place to help prevent something as catastrophic as what we saw on Monday?
Yeah, so really two things. First thing that can be done through youth organizations is good training for coaches. And so a lot of them will require that the coaches have CPR training. And so that's probably going to be the easiest because coaches typically have to do some sort of sports safety training if you're going to volunteer as a coach in a youth baseball league or youth football. And certainly at the scholastic level, those are pretty much mandated by the state. So good and updated CPR training by the coaching staff and the people who are going to be around the kids. That's probably the easiest to implement. The AEDs are critical. At the school level, a lot of schools will have those in place. And as you mentioned, at the youth level, that's going to be much more demanding. You know, you may have a ball field, which, you know, gets very little use as in a remote location, and it's not practical to outfit that with an AED monitor versus if you have a big softball complex, it might be much more practical. So good training by the coaching staff should be pretty easy to do. AEDs if possible, but it's not going to be practical for all situations.
Maybe kind of a weird question, but I would imagine there were some folks who were either there or who watched that on Monday night and said, you know what, I need to learn some life-saving techniques. I need to learn CPR. If you're in that category, how does someone learn such things? Where can someone learn such things?
Yeah, so that should be really easy for the general public. Couple simple tips you could do. The American Heart Association, you can go on their website, type in your zip code, and they'll ping off in a map places where you can access American Heart Association approved training. And if you did that in Cincinnati, you'll get 20 dots that light up on places that you can contact. So American Heart would be one. Another one would be the American Red Cross. A lot of people get their certification through the Red Cross. And then a third option would be contact your local fire department, and they could connect you with that kind of access. But it's widely available. Babysitters do it. Coaches do it. People who work with seniors do it. There's not a good reason not to do it.
Outstanding stuff. That was terrific. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. I hope that's helpful.
Definitely was. Dr. Matt DesJardins from OrthoCincy's. I say this all the time. The great thing about the folks at OrthoCincy's, they have specialists and locations all across the tri-state, including walk-in orthopedic urgent care. They have evening hours and Saturday hours in Edgewood and Eastgate for your convenience. It is easier and certainly cheaper than going to an ER when you have an urgent orthopedic injury. Go to OrthoCincy.com. That's OrthoCincy.com. Hey, it's Mo Eggert. Do you love college basketball as much as I do? No matter who you root for, there's no better place to watch the games than Long Neck Sports Grill. They've got 3 locations in northern Kentucky, Wilder, Hebron, and Richwood. Each one of them very easy to get to. 4K TVs all over the place, and the sound is on for all the big games. Don't forget about beer. No place has a better selection, and of course, you've got to try Long Neck's wings. Their menu is awesome. Long Neck Sports Grill, a college basketball fan's heaven. Stay late, come often.